If you want to pump your body and expand your mind, there's only one place to go. Mind Pump. Mind Pump with your hosts, Sal DiStefano, Adam Schafer, and Justin Andrews.
In this episode of the Mind Pump, for the first 38 minutes, Justin, Adam, and myself have some fun non-fitness conversation. This is our intro portion of the show. We start out by talking about our sponsor, Organifi, and their product, Pure, which is energizing without caffeine. I actually thought there might be a little caffeine in it, and I contacted the company, and I was assured there are no stimulants, just brain-boosting ingredients like lion's mane. Of course, they are one of our sponsors. So if you go to Organifi.com/mindpump and use the code mindpump, you'll get 20% off. Then we talked about Adam's libido and his improved sleep. We think his reduction of cannabis use is probably contributing to these improvements in both of the sleep and his libido. He also mentioned...
And that picture you gave him.
Yeah. He also mentioned Brain FM. This is something you listen to in your headphones that can improve sleep. It can also improve things like focus. If you go to brain.fm/mindpump, you'll get 20% off. Then we talked about Ned's full spectrum hemp oil extract, packed full of beneficial cannabinoids like cannabidiol, otherwise known as CBD. It's a great Christmas gift. Just go to helloned.com/mindpump and you'll get 15% off. Then we talked about the hemp farm bill. We talked about hemp oil quality with all the products that we've seen.
Hemp's going to be everywhere.
It's everywhere. Then we talked about Netflix's impact on going to the movies, porn addiction. We talked about person Christmas. I think it's still Father Christmas, but whatever.
Person Christmas.
And cheese.
Just stop.
Sexism. Yes, you're sexist if you like cheese, apparently.
Apparently, I'm really sexist.
According to PETA. And then we talked about our New Year's plans. And then we get into the fitness questions. The first question was, how do we go about getting as lean as possible if we only have a week? So let's say you have something coming up in a week, unexpected.
Thanks for the notice.
Yeah, a photo shoot or something like that. Like, what would be the strategy to look your best in 7 days? The next question was, what exercises surprised us the most with the type of results that they elicited? So what exercises just shocked us? Like, we started doing them and we're like, whoa.
Dog peas.
This one made me look amazing. That's an exercise, by the way. You didn't just make that up.
Yeah.
Next question was, is the fat-burning zone a myth? Apparently, when you do cardio within a particular heart rate zone, you burn more body fat, or do you? Find out in that part of this episode.
Get in the zone.
And the final question
AutoZone
is athleticism.
Yes.
We're not even sponsored by them, guys. Jeez.
Fat burning zone.
Is athleticism something you're born with, or can you train it, or is it both? Great discussion in that part in this episode. Also, like to remind everybody, MAPS Starter is live. It's our new MAPS program. It's designed for beginners or for people who are deconditioned or people who haven't worked out in a while.
Let's get started.
Or for people who just want to work out at home. All you need are dumbbells and a physio ball. It's a phenomenal program to get your body to build stability, start building conditioning, and to start building muscle. Basically, to start to reap all the amazing benefits that resistance training can
going the right way.
Provide. It's also an awesome gift for someone for the holidays. If you're interested in checking out MAPS Starter, we only have about 5 days left for a discount coupon code that we're offering to you right now. So here's what you do. Go to MAPS Starter, 2 S's in the middle, .com. So that's MAPSStarter.com. And then use the code STARTER20. That's STARTER and the number 20 without a space for $20 off. You will also get a free t-shirt and 1 year of access to our private forum for absolutely free. Now, if you want to check out any of our other MAPS programs, you can go to our other site, mapsfitnessproducts.com.
T-shirt time! And it's T-shirt time.
Bring it on in, Doug. My favorite time of the week.
We're giving out 6 T-shirts this week, 3 for iTunes and 3 for Facebook.
Hooking them up.
So the winners are, for iTunes, John Dick.
Hey.
Soul of the Fire.
Great name.
And Jen Ham 1. All of you are winners there. And on Facebook, we got Anthony Schultz, Cody Moore, Mackenzie Barbara Schlemitz, All of you are winners, so what you need to do is send your name, the one I just read, to iTunes at mindpumpmedia.com. Send your shirt size, your shipping address, and now please include your Instagram handle.
That's right.
Because you may actually be getting a shout out on the Mind Pump Media page.
Oh, yes.
So send all that over to iTunes at mindpumpmedia.com. We'll get that right out to you.
Sizzle snap. I've been using the Pure now. Have you guys been using it consistently?
I was, but I haven't used it this week. I was using it last week consistently when we did the last Organifi commercial.
So I've been using them one or two a day pretty consistently now for the last since we got them, which was like what, a week ago? Was it been a week? 5 days, 6 days ago?
Yeah.
And I messaged Shauna, who's our rep. Shout out to Shauna. Love her. And I messaged her because I'm like, is there caffeine in this? Because one of the ingredients is coffee berry extract, which has its own nootropic properties, but of course coming from the coffee
extract, you'd think, some of that might have the caffeine had to have gone through that.
Is there caffeine? Because when I drink it, when I take it, I feel mildly stimulated.
Lifted a little.
Yes, totally. Now Lion's Mane can do that. Lion's Mane will make you feel kind of stimulated and sharper. But I was like, God, is there caffeine in this? Because I feel a little bit like up. So I messaged her, and then she checked with whoever they check with in their research department. Mm-hmm. No caffeine.
Really?
No. Huh. So because she sent me the response that they sent her, and they said that it tests, when they test it for caffeine, it tests at below 4 milligrams, which is all you need. That's what to say no caffeine, something has to be tested at
under 5.
Under 4. And she said, there's no caffeine in it.
Well, this is great. This is going to be part of my protocol then to start scaling down my caffeine intake. Because I did notice a little bit of a lift from using it too, and I was listening to the Paul Chek episode that we did as well, and talking about chewing on the
coffee beans.
You need to do the butter too. Remember we talked about that. You need to start with your morning like that.
I'm gonna write all this down.
Yeah, you rub butter on your chest.
Is that how you do it?
Yeah,
you froth it first. Then you just beat it on you.
You imagine if we just sold Justin on that.
I'm like, whoa, is this how you do it,
He comes to work and he's all glistening.
It smells like popcorn.
You guys already almost had me on the.
Why does it smell like popcorn?
Coconut oil.
9 o'clock in the morning in here.
Butterball.
Been butterballing. Yeah.
But
so delicious.
But I love it. I absolutely like it, and I'm feeling so good off of caffeine. I think you got to go off shit every once in a while for a while. You know what I'm saying?
It's at that point.
Here's the other thing too, because I went off cannabis completely, then I reintroduced it a little bit here and there, and then I went off of it again. When I stay off of it for a while, I'm telling you, I'm getting another testosterone test coming because I want to keep testing my.
Oh, did you ask for me also, please, or you? Forget?
I did. I sent it.
Oh, you did.
Told Rachel.
Thank you.
Dude, it raises my testosterone when I'm not having a lot of cannabis.
Well,
I totally feel it.
No, I felt it.
Interesting.
I felt
You did?
It. Yeah, I was off for 3 weeks, right? So
What did you notice?
I noticed my libido up. I did.
See?
I did notice that, and the reason why I noticed it because my workout volume is significantly low right now, probably some of the lowest I've had for a while, and that always kind of brings it down. I notice when I'm not training like 3+ times a week, that tends to bring down my libido. Where now I'm low there, but my sex drive is really high, and the only thing else that's really different that's going on right now is being off the cannabis.
Bro, I'm telling you, it will be interesting when you do your next test. How happy will you be if you see that your levels are now?
Well, what I'm going to do because I've had cannabis since then now, right? So I've had it, but I've definitely scaled way back from where I was having it every single night. Mm-hmm. Very similar to like what you did. So I winged off I wanted to go all the way till January, but I don't know what day I ended up having. I was like, this is too good to pass up right now. I just want it.
I think I gave it to you.
And I figured I'm a grown up. I can make that decision for myself.
Yeah.
And the main purpose for me was to just kind of take a break from it for a while, long enough so I could start to assess like, are there positive benefits? So what I'm going to do when the test comes in from Everlywell, I'm going to be off for at least 2 or 3 weeks again, retest, and then I'll see what a difference it makes.
But how cool would it be because now you've been off of synthetic testosterone now for over a year.
Yeah, over a year now.
You've gotten your levels to be within the range, but it's at the low end, so it's not a great place to be, but at least it's within the range. How awesome will it be if going off cannabis was the last missing piece to get your levels up to a really good level.
That would excite me. It really would excite me. I'm interested to see. I don't.
Now, what will you do? So let's say if they stay where they're at, they're low. You've already said like I've tried, and I'll probably end up having to go back on replacement. But if they stay high, will you still consider going back on replacement?
That's a really good. Probably not. If I'm in the high normal
And
range,
feeling good and all that.
oh yeah, I won't fuck with testosterone.
Because you don't want to have to deal with that whole thing.
No,
again.
no, I wouldn't want to go through that all over again. But if I test and I'm still pretty low, there's a very strong chance that first quarter of next year, I'll probably get back on like an HRT dose where I'm probably taking 125 milligrams a week or so. Just because, I felt amazing when I was at that level. I didn't feel...
Well, to be honest, you're even in the low normal, what they consider normal, and I hate that because that range is so ridiculous. It's literally the difference between being the high normal and low normal is like
Massive.
5 times as big. Yeah, it's just a huge gap. And the truth is, being in the low range of normal is probably unhealthy. So you're probably better off if that's where you're at and there's nothing you can do to get your natural testosterone to come back up. Let's say it's just damaged from, whatever years of synthetic use. You getting it back up into the higher mid-range through synthetic, probably better for you.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
That's how I feel too.
The
main, obviously the main driver for me was to, if we were going to try and get pregnant this coming year, it was that increasing my chances by being, obviously if I'm on synthetics, I'm only decreasing my chances of getting her pregnant. So, if that happens and my test scores are still pretty low, I'll probably jump back on. If, they're, mid high on the low or on the normal range, no, I don't think I'll mess with it. I don't see myself doing that. Not at all. But we'll see. We'll see how I feel. But I'm excited to take it and then to tease out the cannabis because I didn't do that on the previous test. And to be honest, I don't remember, how much usage that I was, or how much I was using cannabis at that time. So we'll see. I definitely know that I was smoking it every single day or close to every single day, sometimes once or twice in the evening. So, me just coming off of it completely for 3 weeks, I noticed a big difference.
Yeah,
so
frequency and the intensity of it sounds like we're talking about working out, but it makes a difference, right? So like
Smoke weed every day.
Yeah, like having it every day and then having a strong amount every day. I mean, both of those have to make a big impact.
yeah.
Because I think what happens with the frequent use is you become so tolerant to it. Without realizing it, you end up using more and more.
Well, I told you the other thing that I was really surprised by was because I'm tracking my sleep, and with the Oura Ring, it does the whole tracks your score and stuff. And originally why I started using cannabis was to improve my sleep and to settle my brain down and help me fall asleep. And I think because I was smoking like at around 5 or 6 p.m. at night, and then that would kind of wear off, and then I would smoke again like at 9 or 10 when I was going to bed. I think I was too high. And so I actually wasn't falling into a really good deep sleep. And when I came off, I actually noticed my sleep score go back up again. Now, since then, I've been more judicious with it, and I've tried to use it only on nights where I feel like I really need to help me go to sleep. And now I'm sleeping like a baby again.
Really?
Yeah. So I think I was taking
Dude, sleep was a big issue for you since I've known you.
My whole life. I up until like not that long ago, I really just I had a couple of things happen. One, the first big thing that happened when I bought my house when I was in my early 20s. First thing I invested in was this big expensive bed, and that was the first time I ever got it. Other than before that, I was like hand-me-down beds my whole life. And when I got a new bed,
This one rotated or what?
Yeah, I got it like in a
Sweet.
Yeah, it's big heart shape too, and vibrated.
Is it coin?
Yeah, there's coins in it. Do they still have that
High
shit?
performance.
Yeah.
You remember? Have you guys ever seen a real one?
No, not one with
At a
coins.
hotel?
With coins?
I have.
Really?
Oh, wow.
I have been to a
What
motel.
kind of place was this, Sal?
It's a long story. I'll tell you guys another time.
What? You gonna hold out on us?
I'll tell you about that
All right.
another time.
But the bed made a night and day difference. I got that. That made a big difference. But I still just considered myself somebody who tosses and turns kind of all night long. And then as I got older, I started to connect it more with work and stress. And I was like, oh shit, when I got a lot of my mind financially, business-wise, stressed at work for whatever reasons, that was affecting my sleep. And so, things like Brain FM have been like a game changer for me, utilizing cannabis, Ned. That's been another one. That was a big thing I noticed too. And I think I mentioned that the last time we had a Ned commercial was, when I came off the cannabis completely, and then when I would use Ned, I would actually feel the Ned. Like before I would take the Ned and be like, oh, I'd have this great sleep, but I didn't feel it from taking it, where now I feel like I take it, and in a half hour, I can feel myself calm down. And I'm just assuming that that's because I become sensitive again to the...
I really do think that the medicinal benefits of cannabinoids, the therapeutic effects, aside from the really, when you need a potent acute effect, is it lies in the non-intoxicating cannabinoids. And I do think that product, because did you guys see the big farm bill with hemp? We're about to see an explosion.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
We're about to see an explosion of hemp growing and hemp cultivating and hemp products.
Is this statewide, like throughout the U.S.?
Countrywide.
Yeah.
So we're about to see, cannabinoids. We're already starting to see them infused into everything.
Yeah.
But it's going to really take off now because there were a lot of kind of legal, gray areas and loopholes you had to go through. But I think, unless you have like acute issues, like THC's got some benefit too. Like for some forms of chronic depression, it may be good for pain, definitely for, severe forms of appetite type of disruption. It can be good. Of course, THC also has a good effect on cancer, just like all the cannabinoids do. So you don't want to take any of them out. You want to use them all, especially if you in a situation like that, or at least that's what the research shows. But for the general therapeutic effects, like for the average person, like my parents, somebody who's got some autoimmune type issues or food intolerance issues or gut issues, or if somebody, has got inflammatory issues or sleep issues, or let's say you want an anxiolytic, which is like an anti-anxiety type, feeling, but you don't want to go the synthetic medical route, which is typically like a Xanax or something like that, which
that's
is
been huge
potent
for my wife. Yeah, she's used Ned quite a bit now before bed, and it's like she's been able to reduce a lot of those synthetic drugs as a result of it.
I actually bought them for gifts for everybody at Christmas. I bought 5 of them to give to
best gift ever.
Yeah,
no, just the box is really cool. It's a cool gift. It's a cool way to gift somebody. I think they do a good job of their packaging. So
and also it's new enough. Because I'm very familiar with the hemp oil market, and there is a lot of hemp oil stuff out there, but a lot of it is not not good. I mean, a lot of it is, it's oil, but what are the cannabinoids that are in there? What are the concentrations? What's the quality? Ned is the best I've seen. And if you're going to introduce, here's the problem, and this reminds me of the supplement industry. Years ago, and that still happens today, where a supplement will come out or a product will come out that shows all these benefits, but then all these supplement companies come out saying that they have this product or this ingredient. People use it because it's low potency or doesn't have it. All of a sudden, it has a bad rap, and everybody's like, "Oh, creatine doesn't work. I've tried it before," or whatever. Hemp oil. There's a lot of crappy products out there. So if you're introducing hemp oil to like somebody who's kind of apprehensive about using cannabinoids and like, well, it's hemp, it's not,
wait for that number to increase too. I mean, now that it's like, countrywide, I'm sure there's going to be a ton of companies jumping at it.
That's what I'm saying. So you want to introduce, hemp oil, a high quality one to someone for the first time. Like my grandfather, I was telling him the benefits and stuff, and what if I gave him a crappy hemp oil product? He tries it, like didn't work. Well, now he's never going to want to try it again.
This has happened. I have a friend that I've been trying to push CBD on for quite some time who has sleep issues, and he just grabbed some random brand that I know nothing about. I'm like, dude, and he's it didn't do anything for me, and it's like, well, first of all, you tried it one time. I said, second of all, I have no idea about this company that you use whatsoever. So right now it's, you just got to be careful with supplements, man, where it falls in that category. So there's going to be a lot of pixie dusting because it is popular and it's exploding right now. So anybody can just throw some CBD oil in there. You water the fuck down and then you could call it and sell it for a ton of money. So, Yeah, I agree. You got to be careful of that.
Yep.
You know, switching gears a little bit, I got to bring this up on the show because I believe, I don't know if it was this year sometime when we talked about Netflix and speculated that Netflix is going to put movie theaters out of business.
Oh,
and it's actually not true.
Really?
Yeah, no, I read this article. Jackie shared this. I love when shout out to Jackie. I always appreciate when she sends over. She definitely knows us and the stuff that we love to talk about.
Yeah.
And she sent over this great article. Netflix impact on movie theaters is negligible. Concluded a study. So it talks about, it was a study done by Ernst Young, commissioned by the National Association of Theater Owners, and they are basically saying that the short version of it is, somebody who the more hours you stream, the more likely you are to go to the movie theaters. And the people that don't go to movie theaters, over 50, or I think around 50% of those people don't stream. So there's a big connect. If you're a movie buff, you're a movie buff. So if you like to stream and you're into that, you're also more likely to go to the movies.
Definitely true. Definitely true for me. The difference is, and I'd like to see a study done in about 10 years on this, because I think it's the younger generation that will notice the impact.
Yeah.
Like I love the experience of the movies. Like it's not just watching a movie, it's going to a theater, it's the popcorn, it's the getting in line, waiting to go watch the new thing. It's the whole experience that I
it's
enjoy.
Brand new. It's something that's just came out.
But kids, I wonder if kids are going to have that.
Well,
when they get older.
the kids are also, so the way they did it was like if you stream 7 hours a week, if you stream 9 hours a week, if you stream 15 hours a week, 20 hours a week, the more you stream, the more likely you are to go to the theaters. Now, the younger generation is definitely streaming more hours than you, I, or Justin, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that study already kind of.
Well, I'm talking about the younger, like not old enough to go to the movies themselves. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like my daughter, for example.
Well, think about that. If you're streaming YouTube, if you're streaming Hulu, if you're streaming those things, the more hours you already fall in the category. So even if you're a 9-year-old if you would fall in the study of lots of streaming hours. So those kids are going to the theater as much or more than somebody who's not streaming.
Yeah, but that's because mom and dad are taking them. I want to see what happens when they're old enough to go to the movies. Are they going to want to spend? I'm not saying yes or no. I don't know, because maybe they grew up and they enjoy because here's what I'm noticing that movie theaters are doing now. Overall attendance to movies, I think, has declined though.
No,
overall
it went up. Because they did that. They did that whole thing where they gave out the monthly pass thing, right? And they lost a fuck ton of money on that because so many people took advantage of it. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but ever since the seats are in there, it's hard to get tickets.
I was just going to say.
I have to buy the fucking day before or early in the morning. I mean, we used to be able to wait till the last minute. A lot of times you didn't have to. If you were not seeing a brand new movie, if you were watching a movie that's been out for 2 weeks or more, I could walk up to the theater 10 minutes before and get good seats.
Yeah.
Now you have to, if you want anything in those ideal seats in the behind the.
What was the
row,
last blockbuster movie? Was it like the last Avenger movie, or because I just don't remember like a real monumental movie that came out besides like the Avengers or.
That's
Star
because
Wars.
you compare everything to Star Wars, you dork. There's blockbuster movies that hit every fucking month. You know what I'm saying?
How
Like,
much?
There's
like in
nothing
terms of the records.
again. Like I said, you compare everything to Star Wars, so nothing compares to Star Wars.
Yeah, but I mean, there was Avatar. There's all kinds of
No, there's always
like
movies like
big
that. Well, we're also
summer movies.
So we're just coming out of the slump, right? I think July, August, September, October. I think that's the 4-month where none of the good movies come out. Everything good.
Yeah, it is kind of the slow part. But Christmas usually brings something big.
Yeah, right. Right now we should start to see a lot of good movies come out.
Wow, look at this. So I just looked up the top grossing movies of all time adjusted for ticket price inflation. So this is domestic gross.
Okay.
The number one movie of all time adjusted, Gone with the Wind.
What?
Gone with the Wind, number 1.
No shit.
Number 2, Star Wars. Number 3, The Sound of Music. Number
Gone
4,
with the Wind.
Number 4, E.T. Then it goes Titanic, The Ten Commandments, Jaws, Dr. Zhivago, 1965, The Exorcist, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Star Wars, The Force Awakens, actually number 11. That's not bad. 101 Dalmatians. So there isn't a lot of new movies in that top 20. Avatar's there. Jurassic Park is kind of there. That's pretty cool, huh? Black Panther
that's
number 30.
interesting.
Wow. But this is all adjusted for
Yeah,
you know,
because inflation, obviously.
I think the movie theaters are doing a smart play with the seats that recline, the changing the experience, charging you for premium sound. There's places now that are serving food and alcohol.
Yeah,
I think that's smart.
It's interesting, and I think people do like the entertainment. I don't think it's necessarily going to go away. It's definitely a novelty. It's something cool to do in terms of entertainment.
It's still a great date.
Yeah, I'm wondering how it's going to change is all. You know, like in the future, like
Well, I
what
think
other amenities
VR.
are going to add. Yeah, there might be that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the next. I mean, you got the seats now, right? Now the next, and some of these places have it where the seats like vibrate and move to the movie.
Those
I haven't tried that
things.
yet. Have you guys?
I've done
Yeah,
it,
I've done
yeah.
Is it worth it?
Yeah, it's cool.
It depends on the movie, but yeah, like it could be distracting. I remember one movie, I was like jerking me all over the place. It was getting really annoying.
Yeah, but I mean, if you were all VR'd up and in a seat that moves to movies, I mean, that's
Have
pretty
you
cool.
guys seen that commercial? It's been following me around on Facebook where it shows these little avatars watching a basketball game on the floor, like floor seat or whatever.
That's what, Oculus. I've been talking about that. Since
I just saw it.
Yeah.
Where these two dudes, they're in different parts of the world.
Yeah, and they're watching courtside
yeah.
together.
Yeah.
So that's been in play. So that was in play this last playoffs. It just
So you can actually buy this and do it.
Yeah, I mean, this is that whole. I think the whole kit and setup was like, I want to say it was under $1,000.
You're gonna buy it.
Oh, for sure, I will buy that.
Why haven't you got it yet?
I want to
Because
try
it's-
that.
I've been watching it. It's not like anything else. The first version
Oh,
is kind of like there's a lot of kinks and
I'm
shit.
so curious to see what that would be like.
Me too. I think it's going to be amazing.
I'm so curious to see what it would feel like to put that on and then watch a game from that perspective. How fucking imagine MMA where you're in
oh
the
my-
cage.
yeah.
Imagine if you put on you're in the cage.
I hate.
Somebody just got their nose
I hate
broke and
MMA
blood.
live, and because the cage sucks to watch
Yeah.
through. You can't be, in my opinion. MMA is one of the sports that is up there with way better on television than is live.
There's too many blind spots.
Way too many blind spots, and MMA is so technical. There's so many little subtleties in like jiu-jitsu moves and stuff that you don't see that when. And even if you're on the cage, I've sat on the cage. I've sat all over it for UFC fights.
Yeah, me
and
too.
Granted, the environment is cool, and that's not taken away from that. But when you watch it on TV, you get every bit of that. Where
Dude, I remember watching it at here in San Jose, and it was like a big event. It had all these fights. It was great, super great energy, everything. But I watched the TV the entire time,
right.
yeah.
Because I had to get all the angles because you couldn't. Yeah, like you said, you couldn't see what the fuck was going on.
That's why there's been a debate in MMA for a long time over the cage versus the ring. I know in Japan and a lot of organizations use the ring because of that, because it's not the best
It's terrible.
for live spectating.
that would change a lot of the technique of some of the fighters, right? With, smashing the guys against the.
I mean, you can really see how some of these things are going to be purely designed for that. Like, some of these events will be designed specifically for viewing through VR, where there's not going to be any live audience at all.
That'll be interesting.
I'm excited because it'll also drive regular ticket prices down. So a guy like me who loves to go to a game live, especially a basketball game, and sit really close. I mean, those are really fucking expensive tickets. I would
You
go.
think it'll make the price go down
Of
because
course.
less people will?
Oh yeah, because if the main thing that I love watching a basketball game is when you sit on the court or right next to the court on basketball. I mean, you're feet away from them. I mean,
You're watching giants.
Yeah, like even football. When you sit 50-yard line, first row football, you still have got another 50 yards in front of you before the football. Then there's coach. There's
Yeah, you don't want to be too close.
no, it's not that close of an intimate sport, right? Where, with basketball, you're right there. So it'd be interesting to see if people that are paying these, $2,000 to $4,000 for courtside seats, because if I get the whole VR kit for under $1,000 and I get the view of courtside. It'd be really tough to convince me to spend $2,000 to go sit on courtside to get that same experience. Obviously, again, being there live. So I would hope that it would drive that down, so you could do that. We'll see.
That would be cool. Concerts might be interesting like that. The only thing is the sound and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but,
you'd have to really master that part of it, which would be tough.
but it might be. I mean, I think I can.
Yeah,
think,
but how cool if you have a badass sound system at your house,
Are you
right?
kidding me?
If you have like a sick ass sound
I would
system,
totally
and,
opt in for that.
and you
Wow.
VR in, and you feel
Let's
like
be honest though. Where's 99% of the money going to be made in VR? Let's just be honest.
porn.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I won't.
It's going to dominate.
Won't we
everything.
see? I mean, we will. It's almost guaranteed we'll see the innovation there first, right? I
Of
mean,
course.
I mean,
in fact,
Speaking of porn, actually, this is not porn related. This is like freak related. Okay, so
Okay.
this is
Wow.
right up your alley, Sal.
what? God, you guys create this false persona.
Oh, come on.
whatever, Selena.
There was a man in China that he got hospitalized after sniffing his own socks every day.
Hospitalized?
Yeah, because like the spores,
I love
from
the articles he
bacteria,
brings.
it literally like he got athlete's foot in his chest.
Oh,
And
you
it's-
can do that.
It was
Really?
like
Yeah.
infected in his chest.
Oh my
He
god!
liked the smell
He
of his
was
socks.
that much of a freak.
He liked
Yeah.
smelling his own socks.
Yeah, just like every day after work, he'd take his shoes off and then huff his socks.
Oh God. Yeah, you can do that. It's because athlete's foot is a fungus.
I didn't know. Can
And
you
he goes
imagine
up-
getting
that
an
makes
athlete's
sense.
foot in
So
your
if you
chest?
have, it's rare, but if you have a compromised immune system and you breathe in, we always breathe in spores all the time from stuff around us.
Yeah.
There's certain types of mold you definitely don't want to be around, but there's stuff you're breathing in all the time. And if you have a weak immune system, it can grow in your lungs.
I should probably
and
stop
then-
smelling my boxers.
Did he? Gross.
You know what I mean?
Did he die?
Yeah, no, he's hospitalized. He's in bad shape right
like
now.
that bad?
Yeah.
They had to give him
Wow.
like intravenous antifungals, probably.
Yeah.
Wow, that's messed up. Well,
It's gross.
to stay on back, go back on the porn
Yeah, let's go
topic.
back to porn.
Yeah, so real porn, not weird porn. Do you guys? So you want to hear something crazy?
Yeah.
Porn sites collect more user data than Netflix or Hulu. They actually collect some of the most data that anybody will collect online
Who does?
ever.
course they
Porn
do.
sites.
Oh yeah, of course.
They collect so much data on people, it's insane.
And they give out viruses like, Skittles.
Well, I don't know. Did you know Pornhub gets Pornhub is acknowledged as the most popular porn site online. 100 million daily visits to Pornhub alone.
yeah.
125 million.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, 125 million daily visits to the Pornhub network of sites, which include YouPorn, Justin's favorite, and RedTube.
Hey,
Yeah. So that's
I'm more of a RedTube guy.
I had no idea. Are you really?
No.
Okay. I had no idea that it was that big. And
Does
now I'm thinking
anybody?
about
Do you guys know anybody that actually subscribes to it and actually pays for
this
it?
is what I'm wondering. How the fuck do they make
who
money?
pays for porn?
You know how they make money? They make it through people
You're
paying.
selling all your information.
No, it's not. They pay.
Really?
They actually make money through selling for exclusive content.
Yeah. They most everyone.
That's where they make all their money.
Everything you watch on Pornhub is like
Huh.
a teaser to like full access to that.
Well, you watch full videos
Man,
too.
you got to
No,
be like
no,
a
no, I
super
mean-
fan
but I mean,
to
it's
keep
a-
going.
Yeah, it's normally like a 14-minute video, right, at best. And then it's like, oh, if you really like that style, you can go to that website, subscribe to exactly that type of
You got to
content.
know you have a problem if you got to keep going.
If you're-
you know, past the paywalls.
I don't know anybody that pays for.
I don't
porn.
need more than about 8 minutes or so, I think is what
Max.
30
Yeah.
seconds.
Max.
I think 8 minutes is my time.
Yeah, you're good with that.
I just high speed scrub.
Yeah.
8 minutes that's a long session, Adam.
Yeah, well, I romance myself a
Let's
little
get to the point already. Come on, pizza guy.
But people spend money on porn today. I think it's hilarious. But they pay for these, and what they do is they take your data and then they'll start hitting you with ads that are super super specific. And what they talked about in this article was like this is how specific they'll get. Like let's say a woman likes to watch the category of threesomes, which include two women and a man. And the ones that she watches the most are the ones where the man gets naked first and the ones where women wear a particular type of lingerie. That's how specific they'll get with the type of ads they'll start to hit you with.
Wow.
How insane, right? I mean, it makes sense. We know what that internet marketing does.
I got to stop watching.
Yeah. Dude, and I won't sell this person out, but I get this on a regular. This is just last week. Somebody who's connected to me, dating a new guy, and she's only been with him for like a month or so, maybe a couple months now. And, they're having sex now, and he can't get off without watching porn.
Oh, he's got an addiction.
wow.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Right. It's like, I hear this more and more now with this generation coming up now that they've just had it their entire life. And then now it's got to the point where when you're with a real a real person, you still need that to get off.
So think of it this way. So think of like
Fuck it, that'd be so hard to reverse that, huh?
you have to abstain.
Right,
And you have to do
yeah.
it for a long time. Think about it this way. Think of like a all natural, whole food based, made from scratch, healthy meal, and how amazing that tastes and how palatable it is. But it's a different kind of palatability than like Skittles or Pillsbury dough made muffins or something that's super processed. They're both good, but the highly processed shit is palatable in a way that
It's addicting.
It's addictive,
You keep having bags of Skittles.
and it increases your.
Then all of a sudden grapes don't taste good anymore.
That's right. It increases your tolerance, right? Because wow, I used to eat Skittles
Gotta work
before.
your way back to them grapes.
You got to work your way back. So the only way to get around it, I already had this conversation with my son. I told him that this is what happens to the brain with this kind of exposure, and I told him, especially since you have a developing brain, reversing that from, if you're a 14, 15-year-old and you're just constantly exposing yourself to these images, and it's just an infinite number of images, the brain can wire itself in I dare I say more permanent ways. Then it gets kind of scary, right? Then you're like 25 and you abstain from porn for a year and you're still not fixed. That's not a good situation. I wonder how many girls.
User beware.
I wonder how many girls are doing this as well. I know a lot of girls are watching porn nowadays as well.
Yeah.
I've been
it's
I've been
It's
reading
interesting to
articles.
see those stats.
It's funny, and well, maybe because I'm a guy, so I don't get a lot of girls reaching out to me with this problem. I get guys that reach out to me with problems. I haven't had anybody. I don't know any girls that, for as many guys as I've seen, I haven't had somebody reach out that's a female and say, this has completely changed.
Probably because she's afraid to tell any guy that she's an addiction. You can imagine a girl goes up to a guy, I watch too much porn.
Yeah.
You don't want to say that to a guy if you're a girl. That's a danger. That's not a good situation. Oh,
Yeah.
good for you.
What does your room look
Anyway,
like?
I do those. I post those memes on my Insta story sometimes that like talk shit about people who just fucking get offended at everything or whatever. So now people love sending me articles that just highlight the absurdity of some people.
Yes.
Now I do want to say this. Somebody brought something up very interesting, or an important point in our forum, which I love our forum because great information in there. I actually get a lot of good scientific studies in there. People share. And then I like it because I'll get challenged every once in a while. And somebody said, what happens is 2 or 3 people on Twitter will say something absurd. It'll trend because it's absurd. Next thing you know, it's clickbaity.
It's a thing.
They'll do an article on it, and now everybody's like, oh my God, it's a thing, and it's not really a thing. There's just a few people who are stupid.
Yeah, you can just say whatever, and if it sticks, it sticks.
Right. So this is the article, and I think this may be the case. I hope it is. The article says people call for Father Christmas to be called Person Christmas.
Yeah, that can't really be a thing.
I hope not.
Person Christmas.
Yeah.
If they change Father Christmas to Person Christmas, I'm changing Mother Earth to Person Earth. I'm gonna just retaliate. Yeah, we'll just throw
Yeah,
it all.
take that.
Yeah, start doing it. But anyway,
Person Christmas.
But anyway, yeah, I think that might be the case. I really don't think people are that silly. Do you?
No.
I've never met anybody that silly.
That's the thing. I feel like there's a lot of people out there right now just looking for whatever to rally with, and so it's like you're kind of feeding them all this bullshit, and then people will eat it up because it's like, yeah, something else to yell about. Yes.
Now there is one organization that is a legit organization that does say things sometimes that I think are a little bit ridiculous. And so I'm just going to read to you a Instagram post
Oh, please do.
from PETA. PETA, our favorite.
We just covered some of the latest activity.
And I think PETA does a lot of good things sometimes as well, but sometimes they do things like this. Here's the post. You'd be surprised why cheese is the most sexist thing you can eat.
Excuse me.
So to help end sexism,
Sphincter say what?
you should stop eating cheese. And I guess their rationale is that the cows that they're milking are being abused and raped
Because they're
for
tugging on them nipples
for their milk. Yeah, so it's a sexist thing.
Wow.
Because it's a female cow. Yeah.
Dude, I didn't know I was contributing to this horrible thing.
I don't know. PETA's going a little. I think they've gone a little too far.
Well, it's just like, again, you're bringing their name up, so they've figured it out. like in today's climate. It's
Oh,
like this.
shit,
You're
they
talking
fooled
about
me.
it, right?
Yeah, you're talking about them, so now it's giving them like whatever publicity. They don't
Yeah.
care.
They fooled me.
It's
so,
stupid.
So what are you guys doing for New Year's Eve? Is there anything special for you guys?
I'm going to Tahoe.
Ooh,
Is it
that's
just
a
you and your
good place
girl, or
to
is it
go.
a family?
No, the whole family's coming up there. So we got a nice place. Not quite as nice as what the company gets when we go up there, but it's a pretty nice spot like
Awesome.
that. Where we're all going up there. I think there's like
Do they go hard? You guys all go hard? Yeah.
not you guys, her family for sure.
yeah.
So do you not go hard with them?
Not really. I have this last year more than I ever have. I mean, we've talked about this on the show.
It's because of the activated
You
charcoal.
bring around those charcoal pills, buddy.
Yeah, the activated charcoal, and then not
Increased our alcohol
not competing.
consumption.
You know, Katrina and I have been together for 8 years, and for the first 6 of it or so, I mean, I could count on one hand how many total times I think I drank, and her family loves to get together and eat food and drink alcohol, and that's that's how they celebrate, and they like to celebrate a lot more frequently than my family ever did. So I was always the guy who's no thank you, no thank you, no desserts, no whatever, and that sucks being that person all the time. And so now I will partake with them more often, but I can't get down. Like Katrina can get down with them all night long until 2 a.m, get up and then
She's a champion.
work out at 8 o'clock.
She has a several livers, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it runs in the
Couple
family. For sure.
backups.
They can all handle that stuff. Like for me, and I might one day while I'm up there, maybe. It really depends on what the snowboard schedule looks like for me because I'm going to ride while I'm up there. So
Sweet.
my goal is to get up in the morning and go.
Can you take some videos while you ride, or is it too hard to do that?
No, I can do that.
I want to see.
You want to see?
Yeah, from your point of view.
He's gonna do that.
Okay.
That hit a tree or
Because
something.
I'm definitely not going to
Yeah,
snowboard.
don't do
Yeah.
that.
So I want to watch your video and pretend.
Yeah. No,
I sled.
Put on a GoPro on your helmet.
Yeah, I do a lot of sledding.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
we
you
do-
do sledding?
Yeah.
That's
I know we got
hardcore.
them GoPros laying around here somewhere.
I know. I'm trying to find them. I was actually going to buy them off the company.
And we lost them?
Well, we'll find. I'm sure they're here somewhere.
Okay.
But I want to get. My son really wants to start like his own YouTube and all that, and I'm trying to like help him with that and figure out,
Awesome.
that for next year. So
What do you do for New Year's?
dude, I'm the most boring dad New Year's ever. Like I just stay at home and
Is Courtney working again?
play Jenga or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I think she might be off this year. So if she's off, we might actually do something. We'll figure it out. Yeah, I literally don't do New Year's typically
Yeah.
since I was
It's
single.
a shitty holiday to go out
Yeah.
for. It really is.
Well, depends. So for me, I've
Unless you're
always,
single, it's kind of overrated.
Well, I've always spent it with my family. So every New Year's since I was a child, it's always been a family party. This year, Jessica and I don't have the kids, and so we're gonna go and because there's parties all over the Bay Area, right?
of course.
And you can buy tickets to attend some of these nice parties.
Is that what you're doing?
We're gonna go
Those
fucking.
are real expensive.
Awful
Yeah.
idea.
Why?
Awful idea.
Why?
Well, drinks, tons of people, fights always happen. That's all I did in my 20s.
Well, I'm not going to I'm not going to go to a place with fights. Where do you think I'm going to go hang out?
Fucking never, bro. Those terrible. Your idea.
I'm going to go to a nice hotel with old people.
Yeah, done that. Your idea with the family is the way to go, bro. And you wait till getting there, catching a cab afterwards back to your hotel room if you're going to do that, or finding your parking spot. Like, it's just a horrible night.
We're going to
go
Uber.
out.
Uber.
Yeah.
We'll Uber there, Uber back.
Yeah. So
Really?
Let me know how catching an Uber even is.
Really?
Yeah.
You think it's going to be crazy?
Yeah, because
yeah.
you and 100,000 people are trying to call them at the same time.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
think of that.
Oh, bro, it's
Maybe I'll just book a hotel room there.
all in my 20s. I did the crazy nightclub stuff. I've done hotel parties like that. We've done all.
Because we're going to dress up
See,
nice.
We've done that, but my favorite, we used to go to this concert all the time. Primus used to play. One time we saw Primus and Tool. They did like a New Year's event. I've been waiting for something like that to come back, and I just haven't seen anything cool like that. So.
No, we're going to go to one of these things. We're going to dress up nice. We're going to have nice dinner. And we're going to, the plan was, before Adam destroyed my dream. Yeah. The plan was to go hard. Like, we're going to go.
I
we're
hate to
gonna go
bring it
hard.
to you, but you already had the formula, man. I worked reverse. I did all the crazy shit, and then later on in like my late 20s, started to go. You know what? I'm just going to pick 4 or 5 of my favorite people to hang out with. We're going to have it in the house and fucking play board games, get drunk, have a good time. Those have been the best freaking New Year's I've ever had, and I've done a lot of cool stuff. It's just that it's one of the most popular nights to go out on. So catching a cab, doing dinner, getting drinks at the bar, which, like I said, it turns into well drinks and, smashed up against each other. It's chaos. And the fight thing, it's not being somewhere shady. It's just when you increase the amount of people that are all going out and trying to do the same thing, it just tends some asshole who's drunk tends to.
Well, I haven't been in a fight in a while. Maybe it's time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time.
Might be a good idea.
I'm sorry, Jess, if I just fucking totally shit on it.
Well, I almost booked it. I'm glad I didn't. We still got to go. We're still doing it.
You just got to report back to us. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
This squaw is brought to you by Organifi. For those days you fall short on getting your organic veggies or whole food nutrition, Organifi fills the gap with laboratory-tested certified organic superfoods to help give your health and performance the added edge. Try Organifi totally risk-free for 60 days by going to Organifi.com. That's ORGANIFI.com. And use the coupon code MINDPUMP for 20% off at checkout. Our first question is from Architechnology. How would you go about getting as lean as possible in a week for an unexpected video photo shoot where you're going to be shirtless?
I like this question.
A week.
All right,
Well,
so
perfect.
what I'm about to give you right now is the secret way to burn maximum body fat. There's no fucking way you can.
Yeah, just
Don't
eat.
What I think we should talk about is ways you could, things you could do to maximize how good you'll look 7 days out. Because the reality is you're not going to, what's the most body fat you're going to really burn in a week? A pound?
Well, here's the thing, too. When you talk about things like the final week or 2 weeks, even at that, this is where if you were to go balls to the wall for 7 days, you're probably not going to do a lot of damage, right? And it's not, I would never, ever recommend that for somebody who is, the ideal situation is to give yourself 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks plus and do this right and progress week over week and be safe and smart about it. But if this person did cardio twice a day, restricted calories, and did all stuff like that, they're going to see a big change. And we talk about this all the time about this is the mistake that a lot of people make when they're wanting to see long-term results is they throw everything at the kitchen sink the first week, and then weeks 2, 3, 4, your body's adapted and you see minimal results. But if you only have 7 days, eating as little as possible, moving as much as you possibly can is going to be the most advantageous thing.
Because what I keep thinking when I'm thinking about this is you have a week. Let's say first off, you got to kind of already be lean. So if you're overweight and they're like, hey, you got a photo shoot in 7 days.
Yeah, that's not going to matter a whole lot.
No, it's not going to make a difference. But if you're already lean, the goal should be to look as good as possible in a week, not just as lean as possible. Because like what Adam's saying, if you just went nuts and just restricted yourself and fasted and did tons of cardio, you'll lose weight, but I don't know how good you'll look. You might look depleted and shitty and unhealthy. Your skin might look crappy.
A little gaunt in the face.
You might not look good. An easy way to drop some weight and give yourself the illusion of looking a little leaner, especially if you're already lean, is to cut your carbs. That's just because water is gone. You'll lose water in a week. So I would go very, very low carbohydrate. Fat would be moderate. Protein would be high. Get good sleep. Because again, you don't want to go into this thinking, I need to lose 8 pounds in a week, but then you go into it and you look like you're a heroin addict because you're so tired. So you want to go into it with really, really good sleep. I would avoid foods that are high in sodium just to reduce bloat. I would definitely avoid food intolerances because, if you eat something that you're intolerant to, you may get bloat in your stomach. You may get bloat under the skin. It may cause your skin just to look different. You may break out, for example. So really, it's the approach that I would have is be as healthy as possible. Cut your carbs because that'll make you lose some weight. Get really, really good sleep, and then maintain your normal workout. But I think the key to this question is a week is not that much time. Mm-hmm. There really isn't much you can do to really move the needle aside from the stuff that I'm talking about, which is that illusion that you're going to create with, just kind of dropping the water and maybe feeling much better.
Spray tan. There you go. That's my addition.
That's actually not bad.
There's actually truth to that. They say for every shade you're darker, you look X amount % leaner. There's actually statistics
kinda
to
worked
support
for
that.
me. Yeah.
No, it does. So yeah, no, tanning up. I mean, I would give the same advice minus the healthy part, right? At this point, like fuck health is out the window. I got 7 days. You know what I'm saying? I got to look good. So I'm going to break all the rules that we talk about on the show not to do for everybody for 7 days, which is I'm getting up in the morning, 1 hour of, light cardio. I'm not being fed, so I don't need to be pushing hard, but I'm going to get up. I'm going to get an hour's worth of cardio. I'm going to train in the middle of the day after I get fed. Then I'm going to turn around and come back later in the evening and do another hour of cardio, and I'm going to do that 7 days while also starting to reduce my carbohydrates, like Sal was saying, because that honestly is probably.
What if you just flattened out though? You know
well,
what I
you're
mean?
going to. So the idea is to do that the 6 days, and on day 7 reintroduce some of the carbohydrates back. So, and again, this is going to be to give you numbers like, cut back on X amount of grams of carbs. That's too hard without knowing where you're currently at. But I would reduce my carbohydrate intake probably by 50%. And then the day of the photo shoot, I would go back to what a normal carb day would look like with a little bit of water, and that should fill up the muscle bellies a little bit more. But yeah, at this point, you're not going to lose pounds of body fat. The best thing you can do is the illusion, like Sal was saying, which is pull out some of the water so you're not holding onto a bunch of water weight, like Justin alluded to, tan yourself up. And then honestly, it's reduce your caloric intake and move as much as you possibly can for 7 days. Something I would never recommend if this was something you're going to be consistently doing for the next 2, 3.
Yeah, because the rebound's going to be nasty.
Yeah.
But
you'll adapt to that.
Something you can do to give yourself an increase in muscle volume in a very short period of time, and I don't think this is necessarily muscle, but I've noticed pretty rapidly a change in the shape of my muscle in terms of visible size in a very short period of time, is occlusion training. So you might be able to get away with doing a few sessions of occlusion training on your arms, for example. Let's say you're trying to look more muscular for a photo shoot. You might get away with that week, the week before the photo shoot, and show up and your arms look a little bit bigger, probably just because they're more pumped, if you will. And then that's the other thing too, a good pump session before your picture if you're trying to look.
Have you guys seen his Instagram? This guy shreds.
Is he really?
Guitar. Oh yeah.
Oh, he already looks awesome.
It must be. Well, I mean,
Shreds on guitar.
Shreds on
guitar.
guitar.
Oh, I think
yeah.
we're talking about like body shredding.
Well,
this guy's
maybe
like,
he
shreds.
Yeah. I'm just imagining him on like some kind of
How?
Like,
How are you imagining him?
Just on like a
Naked?
car. Just yeah. No, I'm not like that, guys.
Next question is from Michael Ryan, 3246. What exercise surprised you the most with the gains it helped you make?
Good question. Has there been an exercise
Yes.
in recent memory where you did it and you were just like,
Yes.
wow?
I feel like you picked this question on purpose. I feel
Why?
like because I feel like you want me to keep drilling this home to Danny.
Oh no, I didn't think you that at all. But
Hands down.
Adam immediately thought of that.
Well, what's funny is the two that I think we all would say duh, and everybody listening would say duh. But the reason why I'm going to share it is because I've always known that. And I think because I've always known this, these exercises intermittently made their way into my routine. Never until the last it's been almost 6 years now. 6 years, 7 years or so, did these things become staples in my routine, and that's what blew my mind, and that is deadlifting and squatting. Yep. Barbell, deadlift, barbell, squat has blew my mind after 10 plus years of training and intermittently throwing those in there. So I, did some Romanian deadlifts, and I would do, dumbbell deadlifts every now and then, and I would make sure to get some squats every once in a while in there. And so because I knew as a trainer that those are the king of all exercises, and in my head I thought, well, they're in there, they're in my routine, so I'm getting them. And back then my philosophy was, the more I changed it up, the better it was for my body for building muscle, the whole muscle confusion approach. And when I actually started to deadlift consistently, conventional deadlift consistently, nothing blew my back up like that. I mean, strength-wise, aesthetically, nothing changed my back more than conventional deadlifting. And when I was doing this, I was minimum deadlifting 2 times per week, every week for months on out. And I'd never done that in my life before. It was always, like I said, intermittently it would make it into my routine. Same thing goes for squatting. Nothing blew my legs up more. And when I say legs, I mean my quads and hamstrings, because I know everybody sees my calves and like, what's this guy talking about? He doesn't have fucking big legs. My quads and my hamstrings are actually pretty damn good size. It's my calves that just don't seem to grow. So those two movements, and still, like my back, I cannot lift on my back now because of deadlifting and squatting. I don't even have to touch them for a month, 2 months. And I still look like I lift. Like my back is so much thicker and denser. My legs are so much thicker. And if I go touch weights, those two areas now all of a sudden look way more developed than anything else in my body. So those were game changers.
Yeah,
for me.
I because I've done those exercises for so long, I was never surprised by them. I've been squatting and deadlifting since I was a kid, so I knew those exercises were really effective just on a personal level. But more recently, there are a couple exercises that I started doing in my workout that really blew me away. One of them I started doing about 4 years ago after we all met, and that was heavy kettlebell overhead carries. This is not a traditional muscle building exercise. This is more of a functional type exercise. But Justin was a big proponent of doing overhead carries. He has a very strong overhead press. And so I started incorporating them in my routine. And this is just where I would take kettlebells, I'd press them up, lock out my position, get real strong with it, and then I'd hold them or carry them. I'd walk for distance. And the strength gains I got in my overhead press were tremendous. And then in the muscle density I got in my shoulders and my upper back was pretty awesome. So that one surprised me. And then recently with MAPS Strong, we went and wrote MAPS Strong with Robert Oberst. And the idea with MAPS Strong was we wanted to create a program that the average fitness enthusiast, so somebody who works out in a gym normally, the average fitness enthusiast could do in a normal gym. So we wanted to do strongman training with normal gym equipment, but give you some of the same feel and the benefits of what you would need if you were competing in a strongman event. So it's different. It's functional. It's fun. Very, very different. And so we wrote the program, and I looked at it, and I said, gosh, you know what? This is very different from what I'm used to. I think I'm going to give this a shot. And so I followed the program. Well, first off, MAPS Strong became my very, very close, almost first favorite MAPS program. I'd say it's right under MAPS Anabolic. That's how awesome it is. And the reason why I love it so much is the Zercher squats, the snatch grip high pulls, and the heavy carries, the farmer carries, but the ones with the trap bars, they built my body in very surprising ways. That's the best word to use. It was very surprising. I could not believe that those exercises would have that big of an impact. Then to watch Doug go through the program and watch him exhibit the same benefit. He had his upper back, his traps, his shoulders all responded. Those exercises, and the Z-Press. The Z-Press, because it was in Strong, I started doing Z-Press. That really built my body.
Love that move.
And I love it because they're just exercises. And for a long time, I thought, exercises, some are better than the others, but they don't make that big of a difference. I placed too much value on nutrition and supplements and that kind of stuff for a long time. Now, more recently, I'd say over the last 5 years, I've realized that your programming is paramount, and the exercises are paramount. Like the exercises, there's a fucking huge chasm between exercises that are really effective and those that are whatever.
In the combination, put together.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I could totally echo that, especially from MAPS Strong, the snatch grip deadlifts for me, like, and a lot like Adam too, I didn't really do a whole lot of deadlifts. So definitely there's a massive carryover of just me doing deadlifts. Like that was huge for my back and just my overall strength increase. And just having that wide grip position really helped, to focus on, engaging the back, more exclusively. And I was really surprised at what that produced in terms of strength and also like muscular development. But even before that, an exercise that really surprised me that had massive carryover to bench pressing, which I personally like. That was my thing. Bench pressing was always my favorite exercise. I was the best at it in terms of like all the rest of the major lifts. And when I started to incorporate ring dips and like really low ring dips, so this is something that I started to kind of gradually work towards getting good depth. And what that provided was just more real supported mobility and that shoulder retraction and just getting that depth and that lockout and the stability of me having to hold the rings in close to my body and not let them go away. Like just how stable my shoulders were going back into the to the bench press was pretty substantial. And my lifts all went up by, at least like 20, 50 pounds or so.
I feel like we've talked about this before. I know that if you've listened to every show, you've heard me talk about this, because there was a time when Mind Pump had first started where when I was deadlifting and squatting, and I remember when I was deadlifting, I actually eliminated all other back exercises, and I was only doing deadlift variations. So like you said, snatch, grip, conventional, and I didn't touch any of my traditional back exercises that I would do in my routine for, I think it was like 6 months. And I'll never forget getting on the seated row after not rowing for like 6 months, and not just PRing, but 50 plus pounds I was rowing, more than I had ever rowed before in my life. It blew my fucking mind. That's something that I had inched up over 10 years of consistently doing in my routine. And by actually eliminating the movement, putting more time and effort into deadlifting more, had so much more care. And that was the thing that I was going back and forth. Poor Danny, not to beat the dead horse, but that was what I was trying to get across to him was
feed the fed horse.
Right. Yeah. That's right. Feed the fed horse.
Right.
Sorry, I was doing that to feed
two birds with one stone.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's be sensitive.
But that was so mind blowing to me that I had spent 10 years of my life kind of rotating through all these different exercises that were all good. Nothing to say. Dumbbell row, a pull up, a seated row. These are all great back exercises, but I had never in my life put that much emphasis on just barbell deadlifting, and then to see the carryover into these movements that I'd done, and all of them went up significantly, not a little bit, no exaggeration. It blew my fucking mind. So if you're listening to this right now and you're like somebody who occasionally deadlifts or occasionally squats, and it is not a staple, those two are not staple moves that you're doing 2 times a week every week, do that. And do that consistently for, months, and then revisit those exercises. Don't be afraid to let go of your lat pull down for a while, or don't be afraid to let go of your seated row for a little while and purely deadlift and do variations of the deadlift, and watch what happens when you go back to those movements. You'll be blown away.
Next question is from David R. Martinez. Is the fat burning zone and the fit zone a myth? The fat burning zone always seems so low. Would you recommend following it for fat loss?
It's the most effective and efficient way that you can burn calories. That's what he used to say.
I live in the fat burning zone.
So back in the day when I first became a trainer, back in, I don't know, when did I become a trainer? 1998, I want to say. That was the first time I became a trainer, and we were taught.
That's when I graduated high school.
It was? Yeah, that's the year after I graduated high school. And there was a chart in the cardio area of the first gym I ever became a trainer at, 24 Hour Fitness on Hillsdale, Club 504. Shout out to anybody who's listening from over there. And in that club, there was a chart, and it said fat burning zone, and then underneath it would be like, too low, and above it would say too high. And it was this chart. And the chart was designed specifically for trainers to take people over and to point to where they need to be in their heart rate zone to burn fat. And it was a sales tool. And what we were taught was, if you train and you maintain your heart rate within a particular zone or beats per minute, that you would be burning body fat. And if you go outside of that zone, you wouldn't be burning as much body fat. Now, what they did is they took some science and they spinned it in a way to sell why you need a personal trainer for cardio. Because back in those days, cardio was a big component in people's workouts. Everybody wanted to burn body fat. That was the way to burn body fat. You really don't need a trainer for cardio. Let's all be honest. You want to get on a piece of cardio and go. Do you need a trainer to help you? Not that much, right? Maybe just show you how to use a machine, and now you're on your own. So I think what they were trying to do is show value in personal training, because the trainer could come over and be like, hey, I know you like doing cardio and you do it all the time on your own, but if you hire me, I'll show you how to get in your fat burning zone. And I bought into this, right? Because it's what they taught me. And I thought, oh yeah, if you're outside of that, you're just burning energy, but you're not burning fat, not realizing it's kind of the same thing. So what they did is they took studies that showed that when you train within a particular heart rate, a greater percentage of the calories that you're burning is coming from fat, and a smaller percentage of the calories that you're burning is coming from other forms of energy like glycogen, okay, which happens more so on the higher intensities. And yes, that is true, but the effect is so small, and the overall calories that you're burning is so much greater when you train harder, then it really, really doesn't matter. To give you a better example, let's say you train in your fat burning zone and you burn 100 calories and 80% of them come from fat. Okay, so now you burned 80 calories from fat. Let's say you train over that heart rate zone, the fat burning zone, you're outside of it, but you burn 200 calories. Now instead of 80% of your calories, it's all the way down to 50% of your calories from fat. You're still burning 100 calories of fat, which is more than 80 calories. And it's not even close to that big of a difference. I gave the example of 50%, 80%. It's not even that big of a difference. This is literally the biggest waste of your time. The only time you should monitor your heart rate when you're doing cardio is if you're training for a particular type of endurance or sport. When you're monitoring VO2 max, you're monitoring heart rate, trying to improve someone's athleticism.
Heart rate.
For the average person, it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, for the average person, but I could add a person to that. So if I were to use this, I would use it with a competitor also. So somebody who is in a caloric deficit for weeks on end, we're coming close to stage. They're already at 4% body fat. They have very, very little, fat on their body, so their body doesn't have a lot of resources to pull from. We are playing with that fine line, and
well, that's when splitting hairs makes a difference,
right? And that's my point. Yeah. So me playing a little bit of a devil's advocate, I could see if I was talking about a competitor who is looking for every little tiny edge, and that could apply to someone who is tracking, calculating, paying attention to that, is already at a very extremely. If there's anybody who is more likely to adapt down and lose muscle on their body from doing cardio, it's most likely the leaner athlete who's at a calorie deficit, a significant calorie deficit, and doesn't have a lot of fat on their body stored. So I could see it there. Everybody else, the more that you were to push on a treadmill, like Sal's saying, the more calories from fat you're going to burn. But again, I also don't see a lot of value in doing really high intensity cardio for a long period of time either. I mean, it just you then forget what we're burning calories of fat wise. You're also now telling the body that it's less advantageous to have muscle mass, a bunch of muscle mass on your body too. So when I recommend cardio to somebody, it's typically LISS. It's low intensity, steady state cardio where you're just kind of cruising, which would fall in that, quote unquote, fat burning zone or the target heart rate zone, which that's
and even then we're paying more attention to the steps, not the heart rate.
Yeah, and I don't even measure your heart rates. I just do a talk test. I tell a client, hey, if you're going to be doing cardio for an hour, I want you to be able to talk to your friend next to you. You should be able to have a conversation and be able to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want you doing cardio for an hour and you actually have to focus on how hard you're running.
When I say the average person, what I mean is the vast majority of people, like vast majority, because like Adam's giving a good example of an extreme example. When you're at that level, splitting hairs makes a difference. I'll give you an example with a sport that's not related, a different sport. When you look at like the all-time mile records, people running the mile, right? The difference between the first place and second place of all time is seconds. It's literally seconds. That's hairs. That's nothing. When you're 4% body fat and you're watching your water intake and your sodium intake, and I got to make sure I get the right tan color and I got to make sure I get the right kind of pump and I don't overpump this muscle, like splitting hairs then can maybe make a difference. But when you're talking about 99.9% of people listening right now, you are totally wasting your time paying attention to what zone you're in when you're on cardio. The better thing to do is just perception. That's how I coach my clients. Yeah. Like you were saying, Adam, just you should be able to have a conversation with someone or whatever, just based off of your perceived intensity is how I start them. Now, athletes may be a little different. Does it benefit an athlete to train doing cardio in what's typically known as the fat burning zone, which is relatively low intensity. Does it benefit athletes? If your sport is long distance running, it does. For other athletes, most athletes, not a whole lot.
No, it's probably the opposite for most athletes to press the threshold.
That's right.
You want to undulate that intensity, just like you're mimicking the game.
Yeah, most athletes are going to want the ability to exert maximal output of energy and then be able to recover fast enough while exerting a moderate amount of energy. Or in some cases, like football, it's like max amount of energy and then low to moderate because you're setting up the next play or whatever. And you want to be able to recover quickly to exert that maximal energy.
But even
again.
then, it's about balancing out all the stress throughout the week, and so that's really like what matters in terms of like how you most appropriately do that leading into the game, so you have the maximal amount of energy that you can summon and expend at that one given moment, but also have the endurance and the stamina to be at that high level and maintain that. So that's it's I mean, that's a skill and that's an art of coaching when you're working with like athletes like that.
I just think that this hasn't died because I think it should die. I don't know why anybody's talking about this anymore for the most part, but the reason why it hasn't died is it's still being used as a tool.
It's a marketing tool.
Yeah, to market and sell the potential value you get from a trainer, which I think is wrong. Yeah. There's so much value that a personal trainer brings somebody. I called personal trainers the lifeblood of the fitness industry, and I firmly believe it. I think that personal trainers are the soldiers in the field, the ones that are really fucking making the biggest change, the ones that are really, if anyone's going to shift the fitness industry, it's the trainers. They have the most power and impact. And there's so many better ways to sell your value than using something like this, which really isn't bringing a lot of value to somebody.
Next question is from Pain in the Grass 12. Is athleticism something you're born with, or can you train it?
Both.
It is both.
Definitely both.
You know what, too? I think, what do you call it, Sal? The democratization of sports is probably where I think we have evolved the most in sports. Like just 50 years ago or more, like we wouldn't look at a body type and say, oh, you're meant to play this, by a body type without you even seeing you touch the ball or anything like that. Where now we have this ability, and I think a lot of times where athleticism is, where people struggle with athleticism is a lot of times they're playing the wrong sport for their body type. I mean, I feel like I was an example of this, and I talk about this on the show a lot. That I was trying to play the sport that all my friends were playing and that we were all into. I never looked at my body and said, "Oh, I probably belong in a pool. Like this makes sense. The way my hips are, the way my wingspan is, and get in there and then train towards that." So. But genetics definitely play a role. I mean, genetics play a role, and some people are born with that athleticism, and then some people work towards it. So it's a combination of both. But where I see the greatest difference in sports is that we're starting to learn, and which is even look at basketball just recently. Like now, when you look at all the players, we've seen the new evolution of the basketball player, which is starting to look like the Kevin Durant, and we're seeing it with a lot of these newer guys that are coming in. God, you got Zion right now and playing for Duke as a freshman. The most freakish thing I've ever seen in my life. 285 pounds, and he dunks like ridiculous. His head's above the rim, and he's agile. He can handle the ball. He can shoot a three. So now you're seeing these just lanky, tall, Durant type of player, 7-footers that can also handle the ball. So you see that in all sports. So I really think that is one of the biggest.
Is a good example of the democratization of sports, the best example. Well, first off, if you look at swimmers, I love looking at swimmers because what makes you really, really, really good in the pool is what also makes you really, really bad on land.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's true. So, like, swimmers are, like, at the top level, right? Anybody can learn how to swim. Anybody can learn how to swim faster. But the higher you get into the levels of sports, the more nature plays a role. Like, the more you're born into it on top of all the training and stuff, right? So, Michael Phelps, great example, easily the most decorated swimmer of all the time. I think the most decorated Olympian of all time. Incredible athlete. But the guy, here's some statistics for you, okay? The guy's wingspan is 6'7". So His arms would fit on somebody who's like 6'8", but he's only 6'4". His torso would fit on someone that's almost 7 feet tall. His legs are about the normal size for someone who's 6 foot. So he's got the 6'8", 7 foot torso and arms.
All torso and arms.
And the legs of somebody who's 6 foot. Now that would make him a terrible sprinter. Like if he ran on land, he would be awful. Right. A sprinter's
all top heavy and just falling forward.
A sprinter is the opposite. Sprinter or runner, long legs, short upper body, very, very different body for their sport. So there is a big component of nature. There's also the natural, our natural intelligences that we tend to be born with. Some kids they speak earlier, they're better with their words. Some people just seem to have an aptitude for math or science or abstract thought. And some kids just have this incredible proprioceptive motor control ability. They just do. You see this as little kids. You see a 3-year-old jumping off jungle gyms and swinging from monkey bars. And you'll see other kids at 3 years old who, trip over their own feet and whatever. So there's also that. There's also the natural aptitude for intelligence. Now, can you develop upon that with exercise and training and practice? Absolutely, you can do that.
Yeah.
But there's an upper limit.
And there's some kids that there's going to take a lot of time to even catch up to where somebody else was already thriving right out of the gates. And so that's where it is kind of both. So you do have the genetic advantages that you understand right away. Wow, this fits best in this direction athletic wise, and my body functions at a high level in this direction. I think it really is about finding that as soon as you can, and then trying to keep refining the skill and developing it further to really excel at the pro level.
Yeah, and now there's no doubt in my mind, by the way, that there are people in the world who are built naturally and have the natural aptitudes to be top-level professional athletes in a particular sport. But the reason why they aren't is there's another component that people many times don't give credit to, which is the ability to hyper-focus and have a passion for what they're doing. I bet you there's somebody in the world...
the Rudy effect.
Yeah, I bet you there's somebody in the world that has proportions that are similar to a Michael Phelps, but they just don't have this insane passion for swimming,
right.
And they don't want to dedicate their entire lives to it. So there's a lot of factors that go into all of this. But I think the important thing to say with all of this, because I remember being a kid, 14-year-old kid, wanting to build muscle. When I was young, I thought the difference between me and a top-level bodybuilder was just time and dedication and training and diet. And I thought, okay, if I do all those things, I'm going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger did. And then I learned about anabolic steroids, and then I learned about genetics and how big of a role. And for a second, I got a little bit kind of oh man, that kind of craps me out a little bit. I don't think I'll ever be able to look like Arnold. But then I said to myself, whatever my potential is, I'm going to reach the top of my potential. And that's kind of like a lesson for life, right? Whatever cards you're dealt, or whatever genetics you have or situations you have, there is an upper limit of your ability, and there is a lower limit of your ability, and it's wide. There's a huge width of difference. Here's the thing. I like to ask people this, and I actually learned this from Jordan Peterson, because many times we ask people to imagine their upper limit, and that's a very difficult thing for people to imagine. Somebody comes to me and says, "Hey Sal, what's the most muscular and strong I can get, or what's the most success that you think I can achieve in sales or in business?" And that's a hard thing to say. And so what I tell them is I say, well, we all have potential. I said, but I'll reverse it. What's the worst that you think you could ever do? How bad do you think you can make yourself? And they'll be like, oh gosh, I could be in jail. I could be just, probably 80 pounds overweight, terrible health. And so it helps people understand that, okay, there's a potential in both directions. It's just harder sometimes for us to imagine the top one. So sometimes imagine the bottom one and realize, okay, cool, I don't want to be there, that's for sure. Now the sky's the limit with the top, and we'll see where that is, and keep working towards it. Because I think it can be discouraging to some people to realize that there's a lot that you can be born with that they may not be.
Yeah, I don't want to deter people from pursuing their ultimate dream of, because there are people that have broke through those genetic barriers in sports, and you've seen examples of that happen, whether it's basketball, whether it's football, and there are cases where people like don't have the height, they don't have the size, they don't have, but their passion and their work ethic, and it led them to that high level. However, you just recognize the fact that there's all these immense barriers in that direction, and they just were relentless to where the rest of their life, I'm sure, was insanely unbalanced.
Well, you mentioned too, like intelligence, and maybe not so much in sports like swimming or golf, where it's like you're by yourself, but team sports, man,
that's another type of intelligence.
It is, and the ability to get into flow state and to understand the game like at a much higher level, like that's a major attribute. Like I played with a lot of guys, and I like to think I'm like this too. I'm not the most athletic person, but I understand the game so well that I see the floor and the court different than some people. Like, so you may be somebody who's maybe you don't have the athleticism, but you have a passion and the love for the game that you play so much that things tend to slow down on the court or slow down on the field, and you can see things develop differently because of your intelligence. So there's advantages to that also. So maybe where somebody may lack in athleticism, they may make up, or may potentially be able to make up in their understanding of the game and their intellect and their smart plays and decision making that they make.
They're more studious about it.
Yeah, exactly. They have this ability to sit down and study and do things like that. We see this in football, great examples of a lot of the quarterbacks. Many of the quarterbacks in the NFL aren't the most athletic guys. Right. You get them out there and you compare them to a wide receiver.
But they can read.
Yeah, but they can read the game. They make smarter decisions. They slow the game down, like they lead everybody, like so. Yeah, I think obviously genetics plays a huge role, but so does the ability for you to apply yourself, and then also to understand where your strengths lie, and then again finding out what those strengths are, and then developing those for whatever sport that you're passionate about.
Absolutely. Go to mindpumpfree.com and check out some of our free guides. One of the newer ones up there right now is teaching new trainers how to become successful personal trainers, both in business and with their clients. You can find that guide and many others, again, at mindpumpfree.com.
Thank you for listening to Mind Pump. If your goal is to build and shape your body, dramatically improve your health and energy, and maximize your overall performance, check out our discounted RGB Super Bundle at mindpumpmedia.com. The RGB Super Bundle includes MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic. 9 months of phased expert exercise programming designed by Sal, Adam, and Justin to systematically transform the way your body looks, feels, and performs. With detailed workout blueprints and over 200 videos, the RGB Super Bundle is like having Sal, Adam, and Justin as your own personal trainers, but at a fraction of the price. The RGB Super Bundle has a full 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can get it now plus other valuable free resources at mindpumpmedia.com. If you enjoy this show, please share the love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes, and by introducing Mind Pump to your friends and family. We thank you for your support, and until next time, this is Mind Pump.